episode of Candace Michelle Views, where I give my opinion on what I am viewing on any mainstream media platform that you could think of. I just wanted to kind of like continue on from when I last left off from his story, her story, and kind of like uh, make sense of what I was talking about prior. So, um, we're gonna kind of like start off where I left off. Okay. And hey, anybody that's here already, I'm not really seeing any comments. I kind of like am on my iPad, so I really don't know how to make the comments come up here, so I don't see them. So, yeah. So anyway, it's gonna like start off from where I left off. Um, Explaining about the southern area of the Mississippi River and basically trying to compare it to the stories of them explaining the Nile River and that being the Great River, even though both of them are the Great River. Um, so I just wanted to like make sense of what I was talking about because I was starting off in Mexico and working my way down to South America, and but that really isn't where the story of what I was describing of the Southerners begin, because I believe they either lost or got killed, and I'm gonna go into that with the asteroid, the first asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, um, and I'm not sure exactly that story, but it was left out on purpose because it gives and if you put it in the story, it will make more sense. But it's left out on purpose because somewhere down the line they're the losers and the winners are the ones that are telling their story. So most of the story that you see in the Bible and things like that or any other religion is kind of accurate. That's why last um, video I did, it was like two truths and a lie, or two lies and a truth. It doesn't even matter. Two lies and a truth, because it's like a man and a woman, two lies and then it's the truth. So yeah, so yeah, what's going on? So basically I'm trying to tie in the part where we're left off at, and tie in the religious stories because it is accurate in a way, but I guess it's placed in different places and it's the same stories. But I believe that it is an accurate place for mostly stories. And anyway, I'm gonna begin. So in my opinion, what I've been already like viewing, and I already have an idea, but I tried to look for a lot of information to back up my ideas. Um, and a lot of things you gotta decode it because they'll tell you a story, but you'll have to like make it make sense. Um, so we're gonna start like I guess like the Antarctica thing because like we're from the Arctic region, and then it's like the tropic region, and then we're gonna kind of like have to go back to Pangea where the plant, well, basically the hemispheres were all together, the continents were all together in one they call planet, I guess, or supercontinent, where they state no one was actually on this planet, like, or they were, it was just probably dinosaurs, but I believe that obviously at some point it was people there, but they don't want to advise that because then it will mess up the history story that they are telling. So yeah, we're gonna go back there. And then with like the Juneteenth thing, like I do want to touch on that topic because it kind of ties into like who's celebrating and who I'm even talking about, which is like the Dutch and the Spaniards when they collided, when Spaniards went over to Haiti, they demised to take over at the time it's Mexico now, but it was like the middle of Mexico, where they were like sharing, and they stated that they were sharing with people from the north, which they never discuss, and then also in the story they state that they were sharing also with people in South America as well, with like cocoa, and they got like blades and knives, which sounds accurate down in that area, which I'm gonna get into because that's like the tropic of that's a tropic area, and it's past the equator, which is very important, and the equator is a very important thing as well. I believe that's the center of the earth, correct? And I believe that's where the real sun harvests at. And these planets, these plane nets, net around the earth and well, the sun, the original sun, not the sun that is like here now or whatever. It comes around every day. I have clips of Dick Gregory, I believe, stating that you know, they orally told, the saying, older people in the South, the Southern people, were saying, you only get these stories by oral, that they used to revolve around the sun every year. So, he said now you revolve around the sun every day. So, you got to think about what people were saying prior and to what's going on to current events from past reset of 1800s or so. And as I told you before, with history, it kind of is like a duality. So like they're mirroring the Americas. So that when you have these biblical stories that's placed in like Africa and things, it's kind of like accurate when you have the continents, the supercontinents together. But once like Africa broke apart from South America, which is, I believe that's when the first bomb or something went off. The asteroid that they stated, it killed the dinosaurs, and glass showered down and stabbed into the dinosaurs and killed them, and maybe the giants, which is I'm going to get to as well, which I believe is the Southerners that traveled from the Arctic, which is when PNG was here. It was a bridge, and I kind of could show you guys because I'm doing a lot of talking because it's going to be hard to find all of these videos, but I'm going to try to do it my best to find most of the videos. One moment. Where the bridge meets. Yeah, so because at some point these Aztec, before they were Aztec Indians in Mexico, they were Tolikans, and then they were, interrupted by the Mushis or whatever. That sounds like Alaskan Eskimo turned into, when they walked down past Oregon and down California, the edges of the parts that wasn't even a part of the United States at one point. The 13 colonies, when they finally came over here, because we're the 13, we're the completion. When they came over here, that wasn't a part. California, those edges and most of the parts that they talk about with the Samoans, those wasn't part of the United States per se. Oh God, can you not hear me? I can see that comment. And hey, glad you're here. I don't know if you guys can hear me any better. I didn't want to be too loud because it's kind of late. During the weekday, I just finished like doing a lot. So I was like, let me just jump on here. So whoever's here, what's up? Yeah. So I don't know if this is better. Hey. I'm not sure if this is better, but I hope so. So this is, I guess I was talking about when the Eskimos or Alaskan people were traveling down, and hey Venus, and traveling down, and that was, anyway, I just be happy to see people I know that I'm familiar with, and so yeah, they came through California, that's the back or whatever, and then they met up with the Tolako, whatever the native Indians were in Mexico in the middle, where they had resources of a lake, and they were, made a community there where they already had little sailboats and they had their flowers, just like how they do when you go out to like, Malaysia or whatever, and they have like the flower beds with your food in the pool, so that's how they had their little community set up, and they had like flower bed places where they were making their, how they had to harvest their food. So they had like a really cool technique to harvest on land like that, in like the water areas, because they didn't have mass land. They were more tropic island-ish land, and so it's in mountains and things like that. So anyway, so they encounter the people that the travelers, the wanderers, and this is a familiar story, as you know, because they have a familiar story of duality across the pond with the same wandering story in the desert. But if you put that story in America, it'll make more sense because they could travel down that way and make it to Mexico to another, finally making it to Mexico. Like, thank God I see Greenland. I think a lot of people didn't make it. A lot of gold got left there. A lot of people probably stayed and migrated there in the back of California. I think like Shaza said kind of show on like Bravo. I mean, I'm just and, like Kim Kardashian, like think that that's why their area that in Hollywood, so. Anyway, they come and they encounter the native Indian, Toko, whatever, and I believe they probably were kind of like I don't know what kind of people they're kind of. So when you think of when we first got here in the Arctic, let's think dinosaur. Um, they say like the dinosaurs that came, they were here during like times where it was like bedrock, maybe not that much water in between for land rises. That's how we get land because it's like above sea level. So they're like around, these dinosaurs and I believe sharks are like the most ancient mammals and animals, and like they're most likely coming from this Arctic area with probably humans. I believe the Neanderthals, because if you go into like the Nearctic, it shows you like it's like a Nearctic when they split up the hemispheres, and it's kind of like it makes more sense why the Neanderthals just dropped off out of nowhere and split into two in the historical events, because it sounds like a group of people came and at some point they couldn't get back because as you see that going towards the northwest Antarctic area, the it's no longer there. Like the water rose up, the planet started to split, so they can no longer access it. But I think this is more controlled because at some point they realized how to work the plates in the ocean under their surface. I mean, it's just speculation, my opinion, and what I view of what they're stating is going on and why continents are moving around. How Africa, everything could split from it goes from one plateau to now it splits in half, going from here to here. So now we have America, Eurasia, Europe, Asia, which is kind of like Russia, China, going down that way, and then we have the tropic. So that's the Arctic, and then we have the tropic, which is like South America, Mexico, South America, Africa, and going into India, and they do put the Australia and things in there, but I believe, as I told you before, we're on a cylinder, so you might think we're on a spear, and it's kind of like a spear, but not on the surface. The spear of the surface we're on is not the full spear. We're just on the surface of the spear. And if you kind of like connect it like Mario Brothers, where Mario Brothers go from one end and then they pop up on this end, if you know what I'm saying. Like, if I go out on here, Mario Brothers, the guy jumps out here. So if they put Antarctica back here with like tropics, Antarctica at some point froze over, so why would it be in the hottest region going down past the equator? It would be more Arctic, going colder area north. So sometimes they put it down there because maybe at the time when that bridge and everything separated from this northwest end, it kind of popped up like the sphere. It comes up kind of on this end. If that makes any sense, because as you could see, they could go back ways, they could go front ways. This is all like some type of connected 360, going 360, and that's how the Earth is. It kind of shows you like the equator. That's what that one line is for, and then it shows you another line, which is kind of like the second split, which made us into four kind of like hemispheres, because it went from Arctic to tropic. And then at some point, Africa split off from, it was like connected to like more like Brazil and Mexico, the back areas, where Africa and like the Amazon with a great Amazon starting to now become, I guess that's what probably broke them up, became in between that. So you have the Africans and the South Americans kind of staying on one plateau. So this is why the Moors or the Africans were able to come back to South America with no problem with Brazil or slaves and things like that because they were already a part of that area. So this is why it doesn't make no sense why they say humans weren't on the earth at the time when it was all one planet, because it seems like they were, and they were very familiar of where to go and where not to go and where to come together at and who to attack, if that makes any sense as well. And if we are coming from this Arctic, thing, when you come down the Arctic, they say like it's like the Goldilocks. This is when you have to put like nursery rhymes and things in play, like you have it too cold, and then it's like kind of just right, and then it's too hot or whatever, what I'm trying to say. So, and then it's also a saying where they say, I think it's like a Greece, where they say they told the sun not to go too high up with his wings to the sun, and he did not listen, and he went up all the way towards the sun anyway, and his wings melted. That's kind of like a scenario where if you're going in areas that's not best for you to go, but guess what? If it's like a lot of people, you're going to migrate anyway, and then people migrate just like fish and birds. We kind of circulate anyway. Well, it seems like they were circulating, and some people stayed in one spot and had a spot and wasn't probably giving it up. And why would you? And then on top of that, it's because, like I stated, the dinosaur concept, where the big T-Rex, they had bigger eyes, so they were able to travel further and get to the best food resources, which was because they were bigger and they had bigger eyes. They were like like if a dog had a litter, it would be like this dog that always gets the boob, and he's gonna be like probably like the football player or the star of the dog litter. And then it's like the runt that never figures out he's like last, and he's by the mother's neck, and he's by the mother's butt, and then by the time he finally gets to a resource of food, the mother's done. Like, she's like, I'm done feeding all these people, get off me, I want to run outside or whatever. There's the concept of, now you have a smaller dinosaur where they're saying they have smaller eyes, and they're smaller, so they can't really get too far, which maybe they'll stay maybe up Arctic, and not get the best resource of food as the dinosaur with the big eyes that was able to reach out to a better environment that where superfoods were, the purple area. And when you look into like the cosmos and the cosmics, you get like the purple and the black, and you get all the purple foods and all these collard greens. If you eat collard greens raw, and things like that, it's or black seed oil. Like, these things are very healing powers, and you're most likely going to get these group things in these areas. That's where they have the healing and things like that nature. And anyway, and then you gotta put the reference to that with them making fun of like when they used to do blackface, and then like like with Butt Week or from like the shows, where the eyes are really big, and like I know like when I was born, like when I was big, my mother used to say like, oh, your eyes used to be so big. Like, I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing she used to say it, but she used to be like, oh, your eyes are just like so big. So it's kind of like a concept, like that we have the big eyes, which could be like we making fun, a mockery, but kind of like a good thing as well, because it means that you're most likely the bigger predator to get to. And then that's probably where the giant concept comes from as well. And then you have to put this area in reference to an angel area, an angelic area, because they do have like reference to like Jack and the Beanstalk and things like that with the harp. And the harp is in classical music, and all is reference into America, and like the organ and things like that is kind of like. And then you have like the preacher. It's difficult to explain, but they have they do show you like they do show you concepts of like what I'm trying to explain to you, where they do stereotypes, but you got to take the stereotypes because they don't give us our information or our history. So you gotta just take whatever you could from like the prehistoric, because I believe we come from the black hole that they're protecting. When they call us black, it's kind of probably like an accurate reference in a way, because when you, I believe you have to have a soul. Not saying in a way, that's what I'm trying to explain. Like it's all connected. I believe like it connects from us from the center of us uniting the states, the northern to the southern. So you get the purple, and then you get the red and blue. The blue being like jet blue, South America, where the biggest airplane line is from. South America, which is not Mexico. This is South America we're talking about. Is Brazil? Is the biggest continent in the Amazon, and then we're talking about the red, which is like Canada. These are border lines that we had at one point, and we unite them. So if we're the purple, and what makes purple is red and blue put together. So if you kind of like if you're getting some separations of it, and then you got to think who are we separating with. And that's when you got to go back to prehistory, where you go into like the cosmic and the stars and all that, and the galaxies, and they tell you about the like, and then they like the red brown cell. It bangs together, and it makes like this white red, which makes me think of Japan. Yeah. So I know you're gonna probably not follow me at all, and I don't expect people to, because it's really I kind of like put a lot of stuff together, like with the ark. You got to think of the arches, like when they found in the grounds, like in Pennsylvania and going all the way down and everywhere underground. They have all these arches, and it was replicated as well in other places. They already said in Mexico that they didn't even give these books and all the information to the Europeans, Spaniards, when they came over. So they kept information that they said they got from their ancestors, from the dinosaurs, ever. Which I'm assuming, which was the borderline. And I think that at some point they probably didn't get along, and that's where they say an asteroid hit. But I don't think asteroids are really coming from out, because I believe the arch is also the dome that we're in, and you have to leave out this dome arch. And the indentations to like coming to Antarctica is like an arch, and then we're like arching. You see what I'm saying? And this is where like Archie comes from, like the cartoon character with the red hair. It's like kind of like Canada, Russia, the mixings of the bloods. And then like Russia and China kind of comes around. I'm trying to find these videos, but it never really works out when you're talking about history. And I would have to be on my laptop, and I really don't know how to work it like that. Because when I'm taping, it'll cut off, and I don't know if I'm taping, I'll be talking for a while, and it's like not taping, so I just don't trust. I'd rather see that it's taping instead of me doing all of this. Yeah, so we can kind of like start off with the stories of the Mexican people that I was kind of trying to tell you about. Because history kind of starts with them, and only why it starts with them is because it's the same history that their duality, since they were connected at the tropics at some point, their history is mirroring each other with the wanderers and the eye story. It happened in Mexico as well, and the sacrificings and all the temples. It had two different temples. It had a red temple, the blue temple, the biggest temple that was out there. It was in rubble, and it was found under a society they just built over it as well. That's how they do people after they figured out how to use cannons and bombs, which I think they already knew. Because like I said, I think if you think about the concepts of like the Jetsons and the Flintstones, and like I stated, I think they know exactly when this world ends technically, but I believe that it doesn't end. It's like a Mario Brothers situation where it ends and it kind of begins. Like the ending will be the beginning again, and that's where people get concepts of like I'll see you next lifetime or things like that, because it's like you're gonna be doing this again, or where you feel like you've already done this already because you actually have, because history keeps repeating itself, because it's like I guess nobody never learns their lesson about whatever you need to learn for it to not repeat itself, or it's just this is the way it is, and they start somebody down, or not somebody with down the line, they start to understand that this is like an ongoing phenomenon, and so they could predict things, future wise, Bible wise, because it's already has happened. So like if you get like a deja vu or like a vision like Raven Simone from like that telekinesis kinetic, you get like this like thing like because it's probably like you already done it and you can't really remember, but you start to remember, and that's why when they say you go from child to old to back to childlike, because it's like you come full circle, or everything is going into a circle hamster wheel. Groundhog's Day, like you're doing it over and over. Twilight Zone. I'm just trying to give you reference of things that they put on TV, because I think the things that they put on TV is things that's already happened, and they're just showing you now. Everything is already pre-tensed on TV, so don't think they're showing you the future on TV. They're showing you things that's already has been done or taken place, or it's signed off already. It's already in the stars. Um, and just like with the Mexicans, they said they was having issues with the sun. They didn't like the sun. I'm not saying the Mexicans. It turned into Mexican because it was easier for when the Spaniards finally conquered with Cortez, I believe. He finally conquered and cut the Monku, whatever. When they came over, they took over. They was all like acting like they were cool when the wanderers came, and then they gave them like the back of like the swamp area, and this is why they were able to build these things on Florida and like Chicago, like the bank areas, because they when they first came, they were given like the swamp area, like they was like this whole area is occupied. So they was like, we could give you a little area that was like really swamp, but they was just happy to get anything because they were coming from somewhere and not being accepted from places, and they just came through the desert of like California and all that, so they were like needing a place to like have food and drinks anyway. So they made a community out of that swamp area. They made a nice community, and these people in this area are stone people. Like they are stone sketchers, sculptors. Like think Stonehenge, and that's why Stonehenge is kind of like and cobblestone and things like that is kind of like both are reflecting from like Europe and things like that, Spain, Turkey, and or wherever else, and also from South Africa and Mexico as well. So because it's the trop, it used to be all in one cohesive, and then it went from one hemisphere to different hemisphere, and that's why African people started to look more like the people from the north southern area, because it became part of the Arctic when it separated from the tropic, which will have the looks alter somewhat if you're out of the tropic ending coolie look, and then you because it's hot and you know it is, and you go up to like a cooler area and you start to take upon that look in your look or whatever what I'm trying to say, and then you go on to doing everything that these people are doing. I don't care that, but the point I'm just trying to make is that I was just trying to explain that it just made sense because it seemed like everyone was all over the place except a certain group of people, and then the certain group of people seemed like it was like finally attacked when everybody got on one United Nation accord through wars. They were warring to get into the final war, and then the Great Reset and all that stuff. And you would think, oh, this is so long ago, but I bet you it's not. I bet you if you ask people like, hey, where's your, do is your grandmother still alive? And if they say yes or no, whatever, but be like, where her mother or her is from, like, and then I bet you a lot of people, if we do like an experiment, like they love to do all these experiments, right? So how about if we did an experiment where we're like, we'll go door to door from everybody that's in like the whole America, Central America, and we're not even going to go to Canada or South America or Mexico. We just go through this area, period, and say the united part, and just say, hey, where's your grandmother or your great grandmother from? And just for 24 hours, we just want to send you there. I'll give you a ticket. Not to be funny. This is just trying to prove points. And so, and then we'll see for that 24 hours after we ask everyone and get them to where they gotta go. And if they go nowhere, if they say, hey, my great grandmother and my family, we cannot tell you anything but here, then that's fine. You stay here. We're just doing an experiment just to see how many people will be left. To look to see what will be like, and then then they need to take a look when they there within that 24 hours to look around and say where they're at and see how tight it might be, or whatever the case may be. of why they're probably over here in the first place, if that makes any sense. Because if you look at the landscape of the world, you know, we have like a lot of landscape, but we live really occupying, I think, 1% or something like that of the landscape to live on of the whole continent. And then the rest is just up to feed these people. We use like 40 something or 70 something percent, a big percentage of landscape to feed everybody, to make all the food that comes wet, like, you know, like the you know, the fish and things produced like that, and then also like the grains, the land food. And so, you know, look, if you continue on with that, this is where the Bill Gates concept and or the Georgia Stone Juneteenth, these, and this is the bank area where the Caribbeans at the time, so you got to know who you're talking about with the Seminoleans and the Florida, you know, you got to think of when they talk about the concept of drain the swamp, what they're talking about, you know. But you know, this is not something that I care about. This is just politics, and this is things that they have the jokers, the clowns, which they make kind of like the people from the South, I think, sign these contracts, and other people, you know, they make them the court jesters of, hey, keep people busy while, you know, you pay no attention to all the you know, certain times of the year, or, you know, certain times of the decade, century, that these things they already know is going to happen. That's why they cleared out of Washington D.C. and changed it all up, because they knew it was going to be flooding and things of that nature around this year time frame. Just like with the solar winter and things like that. They say, oh, Jesus was born on the 25th, but he might have been born on the 21st. They don't know. It was just the concept of the sun, I think, that they created or something like that, because like it's from saying that this sun, like the Mario Brothers, is the first innovative video game, and they hide things in cartoons, and they put a spoonful of sugar in their bitter medicine. Just like Mary Poppins, like they put a spoonful of sugar to make the medicine go down. So they hide things in like bad things in like cartoons and like nursery rhymes and things like that to put sugar in bitter medicine, bitter truth. So yeah. So what story was I telling you guys? I don't know. I go on and on and on, and I swear I be looking for videos and stuff to back me up, so I don't sound like I'm going too far. Like, I can just give you this. I got this off of somebody's YouTube, and I thought this was really good. This is like a really good example of what I was trying to explain of how like they all connect, and then they conspired on this land and made up like all these rules and things like that. Like, oh, all this stuff happened and blah 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 blah. And like if you kind of look, it's like 1.6 billion to a Japanese American is nothing but a Jamaican, if you ask me, which sounds like a Jamaican. Now, if they done made 1.6 billion and got 20,000 per family member, and then you have like a nice decent amount of family, that's kind of a decent come out off of reparations to come in America. Japanese American, which I don't think is, you know, like I said, that would make you probably have a lot of restaurants on every block, or, you know, like most restaurants I believe that comes in that is Jamaican. I think it's like a lot of other ones, but anyway, we're not gonna get into that because it's not the actual. We're not talking about like, oh, every single body, because we gotta think of the nobles and the monarchs, and that I don't know how they treat their people. So I can't speak for every country and say, oh well, your people are bad, this, or, you know, your monarchs and your nobles are bad, or because they're snatching and they're making up rules and they come in and they know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And then they treat their people good. I can't. Would you be mad at them? You'd be like, mind your business. You know. So I can't speak because I don't live and I don't know how everybody gets treated. I know certain places they have their monarch and their nobles and they do all this corrupt stuff, because you see the list is very long, and they'll be like, oh, grabbing in and snatching and making up, and taxpayers is paying for all this stuff, and most of the people are the people that was already there. So you're snatching up the land, making us pay the tax on reparations for people. It's just ridiculous at this point. And I'm not just saying just people of, you know, Southern, because like I said, it comes in a variety of the copper person, and I don't want to make it seem like copper is like a color. It's kind of more like a brown red situation, like the Indian red, like, and then you say Indian, but you know it's native, and the brown red, which is also, oh my god, my nail fell off really, well, this is live, so I can't fix it. So we're just gonna keep it moving. Yeah, so Also, let's continue. The Jewish Australian, maybe that's why they're all, into the legal and have all these things situated, a lot of things situated. If you're winning 25 million off of all of these tragedies that occurred, and they scrummage up this money that you swear might be from one place, and it's not. It's like from like probably just one pot, and it seems like a lot of places are not into the big production, but America, like there's a lot of big production money being spent, and there's other societies and there's other places, but it's like when you think of the societies, it's the mass of people, then people start to get pushed out, and then I don't think that the people that live there, it doesn't really matter when they have their floods and stuff. You see the people that get left there, and that's probably why they closed and did this, virus, um, to close, like so people can't be trying to rush in and things like that, or rush out, or because if you're getting sent out as well, because I believe that after 400 years, 1800s, that contracts could be up and NBAs are up, and they all kind of, not just after 400 years, but like the 30-20 year NBA. This is why a lot of people are talking now, and things are changing, so it doesn't matter anymore, so they can talk as much as they want because it doesn't matter. So they let people say, oh, all these things, and oh, Biggie, and all these distractions. They let you run it up, and you see who's doing the distractions. It's kind of obvious when you start to take a look at the regions and in the areas. You see who's in cahoots, who made their deals, who was really the concept of house NIGGAs. The slavery never really happened in the southern states. I could show you that as well. It kind of like they show you, it kind of only happened, like I showed you, the bank areas. If you go in, and as you can see with Mexico, this is where I was getting the myrrh and the Moors, which because it's South America. If you go down there, I could get to the map if you want. But this is where they took the slaves, and all the islands that surrounds that bank area is mixed to peninsula. That's where they took most of the slaves, and most of the slaves were probably already there. And all the black people that they say was there, and then we kind of meet, so it's kind of like it's Indian, Native, and I see what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? But and I see the spin of the story. So yeah, the odd story, the big fight with Cortez and that guy in Mexico from Spain. It's the same story with the Wanderers and them taking out the molecules from them taking out. So they gotta decide. They gotta talk and get together, and they know what they're doing because they used to hold court in Mexico. They used to come through and hold court. They had government, and things like that, and they were conspiring. And the British is coming, and that whole situation where they had some guys stand towards the mountain to see 3 hours out of whoever they were fighting that no one knows. It's all these Indians fighting the Indians. I guess I don't know, because I thought the Indians were the ones that were conspiring with the British to come meet in the middle. So but anyway, so you know who they were coming for, but we are invisible. And that's where, like, I think the 300 and stuff concept comes from, where they was like fighting at that Georgia Stone Wall, and they lost because like they had cannons, they had a lot of things. Think like glory. If you see like glory, you'll think like slavery never really happened in the Americas, because they said already in here that I got like a clip where they said that they couldn't mess with us, like, and I want to be like funny, because if you're dealing with giants, and it's not giants. I told you I met like the basketball, what's that guy named Dwight Howard, and I didn't even want to give him a hug, because and I told you I was working in an Olympic building on Fifth Avenue. The buildings, the doors and everything are huge. These guys would not be able to get out the door if the doors were not that big. If I think you guys understand that. So when you see history, they're like, well, who could have been that tall and this and that, and it's like, bruh, niggas, like they that tall. They like Lil Wayne says, and Lil Wayne is, and I'm not gonna get to the nomads and because I told you about the dinosaurs with the smaller eyes, and they were, they were struggling, and then it's the people with the big eyes, and But anyway, because it all falls in together, the animals, the people, everything is all. If you don't put every element together, it will not make sense. So anyway, and then you gotta add that Neanderthal in there, and that's the beginning. Because the only thing that could have survived with them dinosaurs would have probably been the Neanderthal, and then he started to shed his probably his hair or whatever, and turn into more human like when you get into better atmospheres, better food, better resources. When you're staying in Alaska, staying in areas that's cold, and figuring out a way to live there, things could get a little bit different with your diet, like your eyes. You could be more shorter, and then you see these people migrate to Mexico, and they're a little shorter, and then it's like you think it's Chinese, Mongolian, whatever you want to call it. I do not know, but I'm just explaining how the concepts go. So if you see somebody this short compared to someone that has eaten very greedily, probably on a lot of superfood food, you're gonna get like what Dwayne said, like 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot. You know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna be tall. And like I said, when I saw the basketball player or whatever, and not even just him, it was the European guy as well. Because like I think they have not saying because the European guy, because I believe, like I said, the Russians, and when you get it's on the same Antarctic area, and to get them Zangief, them big guys. So we're not talking just race. We're talking about areas and regions and things like that. And things started to move, so things changed. So anyway, so you got these tall people that probably play the harp. Cause that's why the harp is probably so big, and the organ is probably so big, and that's why God said they need the Cadillacs, and that's where the concepts come from, because they need room, and all these other concepts that come with it, the stigmas. So you kind of can understand who they're talking, like giants. No, if you're this small and you come across Dwight Howard, like, and I'm like 5 foot, I'm average, and I'm a little bit like up there, and I didn't want to go near him. Like if he falls on me, like he was so big, the guys on him was so big, like there's a giant. Like I would think, and if I was shorter than this, if going smaller than that, 5 foot and under, I don't even know how that would work out with for somebody. And then don't like Chris Bosh got a girl like that. Like it's weird. It's weird concepts. I don't know how short maybe she's not that little. But if you put those together, it kind of brings like a giant concept. And then like when they like where they talk about like the Jolly Green Giant, and then when you get into like these mythical things like with like Osiris and this and that, it's mythical, and then they tell you that they're liars. They said that the Mexicans, and not the Mexicans, but the people before it became that, said that these people came with great lies. They were great liars, and they made them food. This is where the Thanksgiving comes from, and because they're Mexico maize, corn, children of the corn. Let me see. And this is like the late. They say that people that look like the Georgines, whatever. And as you can see, I don't know too many white people that look like this, but this is like when they came over to the George, like when I guess the mixings of these people, or this is people probably that's the pale people from our area, but this is like they said they would, when they encountered the Georgians, that they were the most beautiful white woman they ever saw. That's like some type of history concept. I need to start showing you guys some proof, because it's sad that I can't find nothing when I get on here. And I have things set up, but with history, it's just impossible, kind of. So it is what it is.
Of my 2010 book, The History of White People. People ask me, why did you write that book? I said I wanted to understand why white people are called Caucasian. I started working during the Chechenian wars of the late 20th century, and I thought, why are American white people called Chechens? And so the book came out.
American white people.
So
pale
the
people.
book took many hundreds of.
And I mean, come on. Then she goes on to show you this lady
in the United States.
And look at her hand. You could tell she's somewhat Masonic. And you go by that Georgia area. I'm sorry, because it's not even easy to find these videos. And that's where you probably get the concept of the Anglo-Saxon. And then when you think of Anglo, you probably think maybe because they're mixed with the Anglo, Angel, and then if you sound it in the Spanish, it'll probably become Anglo. because they do Chinese and Spanish, and Chinese speak Spanish. I know Chinese people that speak better Spanish than Spanish people. Get it together. And they say Chinese is the easiest, not Chinese or Asian, whatever, is the easiest language to learn. But I decided to take Spanish. I was like, I'm not messing with it. But it was like a lot of Chinese people in my Spanish class, and they were passing more than the Spanish people, like the Dominicans, because they don't realize that it's not proper Spanish, like Spaniard in Spain. So they were not passing like this the Chinese boy. So that's what I'm trying to explain to you, because that's probably where they get the language that they accept from with the Chinese, because they're on that same plateau in Africa and in Spain, and you see Portugal, and they came down that whole, where it split at, going down the west, the African thing, as they say, enslaving people, and that's that's where you get your Jesus from, that's where you get your Jesus, you know. So I believe that we were descendants from Antarctica, the Arctic people, with the big eyes, coming from the carbon, the purple supergroup planet, because Antarctica they say has cranium on it, and if you look at this in Pangea, they have a part that's Pangea, and they have a part called Gowanda. So I thought that was weird because Gowanda was where Antarctica and Australia and everything was where it should have been. And that kind of reminds me of Wakanda because they say, Antarctica has like uranium and all these things there. So if you guys are really with the Wakanda, you could go probably try to find Australia when it thaws out and see if it really has all resources that we have here is on that super continent. It has everything, including more, and uranium, things like that nature, that I believe that they have access to because that's why they're able to do the Tesla and all these things like that. But that's beside the point because they say like, oh, that big glacier is like aliens. No, they have this. They have control. That's why they split everything out. And Antarctica was the Atlantis. That's where the arch. And I'm gonna try to show you guys. And that's where you get Hawaii, and mermaid kind of things, and that's where the descendants are coming from. And that's where you get Mexico, like the MERS with that fish at the tail at the end. With the the Tesla area and the Yucuba in Mexico, where they were doing all those, they say splicing, but that's where you get the concept with the Ninja Turtles, where Master Splinter, where he looks like he's like mixed with Jamaican or something, where they think they call him like a sewer rat, rude, but he's probably mixed with like Native American Jamaican. I don't know exactly what Master Splinter is supposed to be. And then you got the enemy, which is Shredder, which was like some Chinese dude that kept a mask on. And then you have the Ninja Turtles, and I could prove that they were trying to tell the Ninja Turtles the same story where how they kind of left black people out because we are the purple. And I tried to look up where they said Ninja Turtles were who was the weakest and who was the strongest, so you could see like who's telling the story. And they said like the purple Donatello was the weakest. And even though if you see every episode, they used to always come and ask Donatello the most because he's the most smartest one. And I'm gonna get into the genius part too, the smart part. But anyway, well, not genius, but like artistic, because artistic, and things like that. You got to put these things all together. We both people were artistic. The Neanderthal is splits into groups: the red and the blue. So you gotta think that everyone is artistic or whatever. Like that's why you got the people that goes towards Mexico. They in South America is sculpting and carving, but then you have the people in the North Arctic using brick, just like the little pigs, where one use bricks, one use sticks, one use like hay. I don't know, like, but I'm just explaining. Like we were using like red brick and red sandstone and things like that nature, where I believe that it was be more harder to break down. It would be there to more be sustainable landmarking for the E states, the Earth. I believe that like real E states, like because we the only place that have states, like the real E states is kind of like the Earth states, and it's kind of like the safe haven states because of the resources that came from the area that we no longer have connection to. Yeah, so let me just try to find, and that's what I'm telling you with like the E and the West and all that. It stands for because we came from the Arctic of the North part, which is the West, and then you travel to the East because how the atmosphere has transition. So we kind of follow where the resources will be, which would have been turning into the Mississippi River, which extends out to from there to the Midwest. Hey, to whoever's still here, how you doing? Yeah, so I kind of like I'm trying to get everything out, and then hopefully maybe people will watch this later or something. I know a lot of people were not up this late, but I just wanted to just get like my process thoughts out on what I was doing last time. And because I didn't want to sound like I was like being racist, like the Mexican, and don't sound like educated because I don't really study into like I'm not like look how vast this is. I can't know all names and or but if I try to get an idea of how the things is like kind of working and where they're steering kind of like leaving things out, and that's why it's kind of gappy. Yeah, so let me see, cause I don't want to stay too long like I did last time. I was like OD, and I still didn't really get to much of what I really wanted to explain. Um, cause like I said, it takes forever. Like you just be here forever trying to explain. So anyway, the reefs. Remember when I was like I didn't know what the reef stood for when they were like in the college in the Coliseum with like the Baphomet head and things like that. As you can see that Baphomet head um, and things like that. Yeah, so there we go right there. Baphomet head, you see the star? I'm not sure you saw it. So and then they had like a lot of reefs as well with these people, and the reefs come from like Mexico where they used to use like reefs and things like that when they were doing sacrifices, and also like when they were passing along during the canal food and things and flowers and a lot of things like that. um, so I believe that those are the people that probably are buried along with them. All those people helped them, like, or like was a part of whatever. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah. So you got to go into like the Arctic and like the archives where it's like ancient things and art. Like when you go into things like that, you'll start to understand what I'm saying. And as I stated, like this is the areas where they took the slaves. This is like Florida and things like that. This is where the people got their payoffs at. That's where they got their payoffs at. You can see it says some Seminole, Florida, 1.2 million. They're in there. Alaskan natives, the ones that traveled down to Mexico. They made 1.1 billion. And I think that was like the Orthodox Jew turned it to the Jews and the Muslims because they were the Mushes, so it's like obvious who they were. And look how much they cleaned up 1 billion plus 44 million acres of land. Really? And you know what black people got? Zero. Zilchi zero. I mean, it's not even. I'm just like, what? All this, you got the Ottawa, Michigan, the Japanese, Canadians, you got the Indian, Eskimos. Please take a look at the list. And do you want me to show you all these people on the map? Do you want me to show you it? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you who's all these people. Okay. All right. So we got North America here, right? So they're talking about some Somalians and all that, and I just showed you the areas where they tried to set down on us, where it's like kind of like from all the Bay areas, because as you can see, why they ran down those areas, it kind of like is a triangle of Spain over here with Africa, and as you can see with Spain, I don't know if you guys can see well. Then you got you got your Italy, you got your Greece, you got your, which is Greek, Roman, France, Ireland, United Kingdom, Germany. You got your, you see they're right all up on each other. Iraq, Egypt, Liberia, Libya, or wherever Libya. This is where they took all the slaves back. So when they claimed there was slavery in the Americas when it was over and they were free. They took the whatever little bit of people that they brought, as I showed you. You know, this isn't working. It's too dark. As I showed you, they brought the people, the little bit of people that they brought, the 300 something thousand, whatever they claim they brought, all over here in this bank area, you know, and going down into the Mexico area. You see the Palencia, and then you see all the islands as well, where it starts to get into all these islands, Cuba, because they ran down. They ran down. They was trying to set shop up. They was trying to get a good spot because they couldn't attack us on inland because inland was too hard for them. So they had to come where they were deep at, which would be on this side, coming from this area. Okay, because you got your Canada and then you got your Russia and everything coming up this way. Okay, you got Russia and then you got China, and then you back at the back of Canada. Cause I'm telling you, it's like a Mario brother thing, you know. So you could look at it this way in the smack that middle, or you could look at it this way. You could look at it like how they try to group it like this, or you could put it to the middle and see the back ways. They kind of like link up. I don't know if that makes any sense, and I don't know if you guys can see it good, but yeah, I'm trying to like make it make sense. Yes, like I said, then once they were finished, or it was over, they took all the slaves back to Libya. So that's there to show you that if we were African, whatever, they would have been able to take us back to Libya, like the ones that were not mixed, probably, or whatever, that didn't get to become mixed or whatever, or chose to go back. Some people probably were mixed and chose to go back because they thought they were from Africa. You know, if that was the trick, like, oh, you know, you guys can go back now. You know, it's all a scam. It was never no slavery going on. They said that they couldn't get into the inskirts. This way they said about Africa, the jungle was what was going on in Central America. It was like big Texas, like supersized. That's where they get the concept from. Everything was supersized at the time. So they weren't able to, they said that the people, the natives of that area, which they swore was Indians, which it was not. The whole Mexico area back there were the native Indians. These were the Native American people. And they said they could not get in there or fight the people because they knew the landscape so well that they couldn't get them. Like, it was just like, you know, like imagine like if you in the hood, not to always get this reference, but this is what I know, and you see a guy running from the police, usually the police can't catch him because this is his landscape, this is his hood. He jumping on, he doing all kinds of tricks on him. You know what I'm saying? That's usually why they get shot in the back and all that, or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not catching them, and they probably makes them think of the times when they couldn't catch us before. Like, yeah, I hate these. You know what I'm saying? Like these black, because you're not getting, it's not happening, and you're not. And I'm pretty sure they wasn't gonna make us no slaves. I'm gonna show you who the slaves were. Now, who do you think were the ones that act all proper and talk all proper and be all in the businesses with them, and they keep them in the manager offices and they got them counting their money? It ain't us. It ain't us. So who they doing that with now? So who you think was the house niggas? Who do you think slavery? The biggest slavery was going on was, they showed you, was in Mexico and back in the south of Brazil and back in, and like I said, I don't even know if they brought them from Africa because it was a part, they probably was already there and knew that this is how they manage their people. Because if you look at Mexico, they had them killing their own first sons. That's why the people was willing to work with Spain to go against like the Mushi or the other people that came and made a bigger empire while they were there long enough, because they was making them sacrifice their first sons on like the top of the thing, like with these sharp knives, like that they said was made from like granite and something else, where it pierced through them like immediately, and they grabbed their hearts out and let it beat for like 10 minutes. And it's like a like literally they doing mad sacrifice because they was so mad with the son that they said that they had to do all this stuff to get closer to the sun or something. Like it was an issue with the sun. But like I told you, they should have never went past like they told them they should have never went past no tropic atmosphere. You're not supposed to go past no equator. You know what I'm saying? And once you get past that equator, it's the it's mid Mexico. Then when you get past that equator, you get into tropic Capricorn. You know what I'm saying? That's where like Tasmania is at, where the cartoon Tasmanian Devil and all things of that nature. Where witchcraftery and splicing and things started to occur. This is the South Americas. This is past the equator. This is this is past the hot jalapeno area. We're not talking about Tabasco sauce in Mexico. We talking about them chips that they make you eat and then people be like crying. This is that area. Okay? And I'm not being funny. Just telling you, this is not the West Indies. We talking about South America, the Amazon area. Okay, which is part of Africa at some point. So you see where the rituals and the mask wearing and the things come from. The Mexicans said that they got the knives and the blades and the cocoa from the South, which would be South America to them. I'm just trying to give you guys an idea of things. And you already know South America is the blue area. That's where the Blue Lagoon is, right? The movie The Blue Lagoon, and that's the movie where the girl, the lady that was a model, she was a young girl, and it was like a big scandal about that movie. So you gotta put things together. You know what I'm saying? Because the girl showed herself, and she was like 14 at the time or something. It was like a big thing. And this is about the Blue Lagoon, and that's in South America as well. So this is young girls being publicized in this. So you gotta kind of think of what they're telling you in these movies. These are all things that have happened. These are things that they're telling you, trying to explain to you. Just think like superheroes too, like with the superfood, the supergroup, the American. Think of Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, like and all these are like American kind of like East states heroes, and then look up their arch enemies. Look at Superman's arch enemy. Superman, whatever. Well, let's start with Batman because I don't really know. Superman's arch enemy is who? I don't know. Lex Luger or something like that, right? The billionaire. And then, because it's fake and the billionaires are fake, you could have $1 billion today and then take it away tomorrow because it's made up. These are all concepts just to have the system in place that makes sense for them and not for anybody else. And then obviously the people that's making the systems are the nobles. That's why you get a Nobel Peace Prize. So like the Martin Luther Kings and stuff, they got a Nobel Peace Prize, and he's a Capricorn, handle us. I swear when I do my videos, I try to make y'all understand where I be saying these things because it comes from the history that I know of. I know this history in my heart. I don't study it. I just know this stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, trust me, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm like the watcher. I know everything. And I'll be telling you about yourself. I'll be like, I know what I'm talking about. But, and not telling about yourself, but, I just know. I just know what I'm talking about. But, and it might not be 100% accurate, but it's in the lane. So where were we at? I keep losing my train of thoughts. Just like Ring Around the Rosie, Pocket Full of Posy. When you look up Posy is like, Posy means like a small bunch of flowers, and like they were singing that like in Mexico. So that's something, I feel like that was them killing us and stuff because they had the books, you know what I'm saying? And it was like this asteroid they said came off and it went in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico that killed the dinosaurs and stuff like that. And they're practicing a lot of stuff in this area. So so that song it generated from there, and they used to do like in with Spain also. And so this song is like them singing like Ring Around the Rosie, Pocket Full of Posy, Ashes, Ashes, they all fall down. And they say Posy's like a bunch of flowers, also archatic. See, every time something arch is involved, every time something arch is involved, you see like it says arch. It also means Posy also means like arch addict. So it's like a a bunch of flowers, and like the archic means like a short motto or line of verses inscribed in a ring. So they're basically saying like an engravement. Like that's like so like a art and saying engrave, and you gotta, if you're not putting it together, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm saying? Let's be honest. I just caught this. Israel Curtis. Is Daylight a puppet? I don't like to get into, because I don't want to say I like anybody, because I don't, get involved with anything because of what I know. But I mean, anybody with a platform, as I stated, that's like massive. They can only be a part of a group. They're not. I don't care what they're saying up there. They're gonna give you two truths, and they're gonna give you that agenda. They're gonna hit you with the agenda. So and then as I showed you, Daylight gives you all the South American British stunts. He pleases them well with the stunts, and he says for because he know that's what they want. But then why do it? Then you're the court jester, you're the Joker, which is Batman's enemy. This is you see how it comes full circle. That's Batman's enemy, the Joker, which is kind of like a Mexican kind of term too, and in that area, Batman. So you see it's some type of turmoil issue because it gets Indian down that way. So because it's a hot area, and they say that and that's probably why the hair gets straight and things like. Anyway, I don't really know about the hair and all that, because I saw like I mean it matters, but because they mention it, and that's why it does matter, because they do mention these things, and it's important. It's key factors, but people stay away from it because it could become a little bit like on the side of don't insult me, but then like how can we get it?
Color of their skin. I don't. I am 9 years old and I know that. You expect me to believe that you did not know what you were doing by making these posters? Come on, people. I do not judge people by the color of their skin. I don't really care what color their hair, skin, or eyes is. I'm judged by the content or the way they treat me. MLK said, I have a dream that one day my 4 little children will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. That dream has come true. I do not care, look at the color of skin, but you make me think of it. I have Asian, Mexican, white, Chinese.
Asian, Mexican, white, Chinese. You see, I was like, because it used to be America, Eurasia, and then it was South America, Africa, and India. And then Africa split off, and India was floating around for a long time. And then India finally parked its butt in China, the back of China, which if you think is going this way, but it could have kind of went the back way. And I think these things are strategically placed, because if you look at the map, when you get to India, when India finally floated, oh God, it's not easy to dictate from here. So when Africa finally floated away, and India was all in the back of Africa, it floated out as well, and then it came posting up here, India. So you see how it kind of like all broke apart, and Africa went here, bump, hit the from the equator, it hit up to the Arctic. So you see why Egypt and them think they all that, because they hit the Arctic from being at some point in the tropic, And as you can see, all his cousins are here: Turkey, Greece, Italy, France, and they like, oh, people came in down on them through the desert, through this whole big desert. But reality, if you put that biblical story over here, this is a more realistic walk, that they can make, If you make the journey coming down this way. Okay, and this is where the Arctic used to be. The Arctic used to be going up this way. And I'm going to try to look for that, and I'm going to have to be done because I've been here for a very long time. and I really didn't even get to touch much. And I didn't want to do no more of these videos, but I'm gonna probably have to do another part because I didn't even let you get to see like the videos of the story of Cortez and them fighting and it connecting with like the Juarez and Seth's story of the eye situation where he cut his eye in the final battle and was able to finally take Cortez. The Spaniards were able to finally take over the Mushis and they beat up the original Mexicans, was the Toltecs, and then the Wanderers, the Mushis that came and then started, you know, they always all. So anyway, yeah, let me see if I can, cause I did have like a lot of videos, and this is and things like this. Like I could go through all the stunt. Now this is a little graphic, but I just wanted to show you like, because this is Little Reese or something, but I just wanted to show you like the eye situation. This is the same eye that the guy got cut in, that same side. So you just gotta understand. And then they tried to make it like look real bloody, but I saw the scene and I could explain a lot. Like the guy got up and was walking, like it was just a lot. They was helping the other guy before they were even helping him, the ambulance. So it didn't even make no sense. The ambulance should have been rushing. Like so anyway, this is what they do, you know. Yeah, so something like this, I don't know if this would make any sense either. When you gotta think of like men are from Mars and women are from Venus, I believe that, then it's Earth. I believe that these planets are the same thing that's on here. Like Mercury is probably Mexico, and Venus is probably Venezuela's uh, back in the back part of South America where the Amazon is, and then Earth is probably where we're in, and then Mars is more out where Antarctica used to be. And I'm going to try to show you because I'm telling you that we're on planets that's netting around the equator, which is the real actual sun, and then they have this fake sun that comes and they say it explodes every year or something like that. It doesn't. It's just like with Mario Bros, where it disappears and it comes back. So they say it starts on, I believe, December 21st, where the sun disappears, it explodes no good or whatever no more, and then they make another one within by December 25th. And I don't know if this is something that happens every year, but this is where the concept of the winter solstice comes from, and that time frame of why they don't know exactly when Jesus Christ was born, because it's the basis of this sun, this fake sun that they created because they believe that they're the children of the moon and the stars. So that's where the moon and the stars with the Turkish and all these people come from, and obviously we're the children of the sun. And they have an issue with the children of the sun. They admit it in their documentaries. That's where they do their sacrificing because they want to know what the issue is. And I think it's because they living too close to the sun that they have an issue with the sun. But anyway, let's see. And I just wanted to show you like the copper pennies. Like, because people could think like copper's one color, but the original copper penny was like a really dark reddish color, and then like they making it like really bright now. But it's just, and then just to show you that Abraham Lincoln is on there as well, and I believe his father was an American man. And you can take it for whatever color you believe an American person is, but it's from a really dark, rich mahogany. That's probably what the movie Mahogany was about. Rich, dark, brown, mahogany person, red skins, brown, red, and then it goes to a very pale, which like I showed you that lady possibly could be, and things of that nature, where it could start looking different. And then you start to get your Greek people and like your Russian people, because the North Arctic going to Canada, and it starts, like I said, the mixing of the blood with the red, with the Chinese, the Asian, because it's Eurasia. When you start mixing the Asian and Russia and the Canada with the native, it starts to become like a red mixing of the blood. And then if you go to the South Americas, it becomes like a black, because they're like more black blue. Maybe because they're past the equator, way past the equator. It's like a black blue, and they could make blonde blue, and that's where you get the mockery. Remember when they was doing like the dress, where they was like, is this dress blonde or yellow or black? Or remember, well, let me see, I have a clip of it where they were trying to, this is like a South American, because it's like a homage to saying like how they create people, how they look. I can't really find it right now. And as you can see, like with the TARS, Yeah, and like you can see with like the Russians and stuff, they have like the Russians in purple, or like the Australians in purple, but and then in like Hawaii, like I can't, because like Hawaii and Antarctica is if Hawaii and all that. That's why they took Hawaii. If do you know where Hawaii is on the map? Like, did you locate Hawaii on the map before? Like, you know how far it is away from civilization? Cause that's where like all the good stuff is. That's where like Tia and Tamara think like that, like witch, you know. Okay, and they came over at some point. The Hawaiian people looked very American, and then the queen or whatever this lady was or whatever, and then the Chinese, they figured out a way to get, and look how far out Hawaii was. So these people had to get there before they moved all these things strategically. Didn't I just show you how India came there and then they made a peninsula of islands just the way they made it like in Florida? How would they create it and make it literally like a mirroring? So they say, it's a guy like a philosopher that say Africa is mirroring America. America is mirroring Africa. No, and then everything they do is reverse. Africa and stuff is Egypt is mirroring America. They did all this stuff is already here, and then they started to they say, and that's where they do the timelines where it got to be lying exaggerated. And I'm gonna show you, maybe not today, where they tell you when the Mexicans came and countered the Spanish, they said they were massive liars and exaggerators. Okay, so we gotta understand what we're dealing with when we come to Spain, and these people that came over there that act like they never encountered it before, when they know they're probably family, because this is when probably the Mooches came and they separated, things like that in that situation. And they already said that the people that sailed with Christopher Columbus stuff, that they already from the South Americas. So what does that mean? Like, are you just coming here, or do you know about it? And that's where the Moors and the Moors come from, because the back of Mexico and South America, the this is where they get the Negros and things from. So we're not the actual niggas. It's the South American people encountering the Chinese, Mexican, Spaniard, mixed with some type of Alaskan. So you gotta understand all that, and make whatever that makes with the native, because they already say the original Tolkien people, before they encountered the wanderers, that their ancestors were the giants of the dinosaurs, and they had their books. So I think they bombed us and stole and did whatever they had to do. Anyway, because they do a lot of stuff, and I'm going to show you the videos where they talk about all the things that they do. That's where you probably get Halloween and all these other stuff from, and the shadow of the Valley of the Death with Wu-Tang and things like that. That's happening in Mexico, okay? And that's called Mexico today, because it's easier for the Spaniards to say, right? And the South American people, when they encounter, that's the Moors, the African, where they brought back the slaves. Majority of them went to Brazil for a reason. That's their area. People that came here before everything that occurred. And then this is when, I believe, when you get to the bridge that connects Mexico, the back of Mexico, the mermaid tail. As you can see, this is a mermaid tail. You can look at it, it's like a mermaid. This is the Mexico Moors. And then you got the Honduras. This is when they become like more West Indian Spanish. Honduras, Panamanian, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Nigeria, because this is the conjunction. Just like our Mexico and Native Americans is the conjunction of the Simoleons and you see? And you see where the West Indians and Cuba, you see what I'm trying to explain? And then it comes circle back to the West Indians. It comes from here, and then it gets into the South Americas. So this is the Peninsula. And this is what Trump means when he say drain the swamp. This is what Trump means, because Trump is not from Southwest. He from Northeast. Canada, Russia, Asia at some point. Now Asia and Russia is more, yeah. Because like I said, at one point, At one point, Asia, Europe was connected, and the equator, all this was connected. Then at some point, this is where the, the globe has this and that circling because the disconnect. Um, and this is the arch as well, like the hip hop, like the hip hop of the islands and all that. That's where hip hop is generating from. This is why Russell Simmons and all them have those deals because their origin probably from down South America and stuff, where their music, like I said, is black and blue. So their music is more like blues. They're stone rock down in those regions. And then Arctic is more classical, jazz, harp, organ, piano, classical music. And when you put the red and blue together, you get R&B. You see what I'm saying? So you got super groups here. And these are from the Neanderthals, and this is the original group that I'm trying to explain. That one had big bulge eyes eating, and another one was a little bit of a runt. Not runt, but like the smaller, because it's just like Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's a duality of these this group of people traveling, okay, and then they separate, and then they offspring into these other things because of the regions, okay. And then you think of realms. People say, "Oh, they live in a different realm." This is a different world. We're different worlds. The realms are not out of the realm. When you go into Europe, you're in a different realm. You're in a different time zone. You're different. So when they are recording their time zones, it's not going to be the same recording as our time zones. Our time zones are absolutely flipping, So when they're in their whatever numbers they're talking about, like I said, if you put it in and flip it over and make them meet, their stories is lining up with our story, like, because their stories don't meet us until the 18 something, but it's really the 800. If you look at the timelines, and I'm not going to explain the timelines right now, that would take forever. Trying to explain how the timelines go, because you have to go into the map of the time frames of when the years they started. I think we only been here for about 3,000. You would think things take long, but it does not take long. Look at the conquering of Spain. It took like 300 years for this. Then it was the Dark Ages where they all crawled underground when they took that asteroid off. That's how I know people were here. They were able to go underground and just went and not come back out until it was able to be. That's why they got rid of the dinosaurs and things like that, because they were able to go underground or hide in the mountains. And they was trying to get rid of majority of. Let me see. I just don't want to leave out some important things to tie up what I just said. These people that, and this is just to just show you like everything is scripted. With Eva, that was the post she did in the American Top Model, and she won. So it was like they knew she was gonna win. That's why she won Best Photo. You get what I'm trying to say? Scripted, everything. You see, Takora is now with LJ doing if you look at all my videos, you have to understand I knew what I was talking about from day one. And I don't need no help, and I don't read. It just comes to me. And I think things come to me for a reason. I can kind of like give you a background of like why I think things come to me like this. But with Takora with LJ, I already told you the whole breakup with Meg Thee Stallion and LJ, and now LJ's with Takora doing a show. Like, come on, and Meg Thee Stallion's kind of taking like a hiatus, because they keep them working. So Meg is now doing Takora. Don't buy. I've been said it, and I know people said they're the same people, but I explained the friends, the circle, and how it tags in because it all matters. They have to have somebody say, hey, vouching, and they keep them in the same circle. And plus, they're all, I believe, descendants of nobles. Like, they're changing them into celebrities and things now, but we're watching the descendants of the same people that have did all these things. Like, so they're intersecting with family members, and they swear they're not related and things like that, but they're all related, just like how the nobles and the people are related, going from Europe to Asia, going down from South America, going up to the Dutch and the West Indies and things like that. The Dutch, and that's where you get the red, white, and blue. the blue South America to like some America, Mexico, because it was conquered. So they did work together, and then you got the red with North America, Russia, Asia. Japan is white and red, and then you got the white, which is Dutch, which is the West Indies, Cuba, or like all these DR, Haiti. They went to Haiti first. That's why it's called Haiti, because they stopped on Haiti first, and they are trust me, they set shop there, and that's where Guatemala Bay is in Cuba, because they were the Cortez military was based there, and then he was taking calls from England back from home, so they're all interconnected from that back way. And they're all internet connected with children and marriages, and they're, if you look into that useful chart on YouTube, that channel, it shows you how they all, some of them are like intersecting. That's where they get ancestors from, because they are incesting. We don't have ancestors. We have I don't know. Anyway, I can't remember. I'm really tight now at this point. So I'm gonna just end it. I just want to show you like a lady probably like from Russia, where she's more American, and then getting up to Russia, because this is, you gotta remember the American face it has. And then somebody was trying to like say something about like my chin and stuff, and it's like, bruh, American. Like people like, oh, this is European, American. Okay, and then it kind of comes, she'll be like more Russian, and then you get Russian Asiatic, Euro Asian. This is more Greek. This is getting into more German. This could also start to become somewhat of a like Muslim, Turkish, when it mixes, and all kinds of things. So I don't know where people are, and then you could obviously see the Asian and all that in there. So and the Asian is the green color. It mixes. If you look at the rainbow flag, you see purple. If you put it in a cylinder, purple kind of tags with red and blue, because purple is the dominant. And then if you put it together, then you got blue and red, and then you got the blue next to the green, because the blue lagoon and the green, and then you got the red and the yellow and the orange, which is like the Saudi Arabia, Turkish, India. Okay, so it's all in there. The Ninja Turtles, as the little girl stated that I showed you. I didn't even talk about the little girl and her scripted about saying like, don't judge me about my hair, my eyes, saw, because it's indicating where. And then you got to understand that these places most of these places are flooding and things like that nature. They are aware of it. Most of the nobles and the Mardiac people that they think is important for some reason, whatever, they get places in here. They have a bunch of places in the East States, and their people, I guess they don't care. Like, a lot of people are swimming right now and migrating and figuring it out, and that causes famine, and it causes their food and things like that. So the biblical stories and these biblical times are accurate information that they already knew was going to happen. That's why they were out of there. They locked up Washington D.C. They done got out of California. They done moved on from Texas or certain parts of the areas of these coastlines that I just showed you, because those areas that they're from are not really very livable places. Just like in Mexico, things, the mountains and things change. Like, a lot of things change, and it's swampy and things like that. So they prefer to be in the inner states, the inlanders. Okay, and you got to get rid of some people to get in. You know, if everything's occupied, even the bad areas, the good areas of the bad areas are occupied. You know, people going to have to say, hey, it's either me or, you know, so you might say this person is uprooted here, but I want to take them from the root and get me up in there, you know, and that's where you get all these communities from, like Chinatown and this town and that town, and people got their 40 acres and a mule. They got it. So if you didn't get it, it's because you weren't a part of that alliance, that house, God stuff. I'm telling you, they got their 40 acres and a mule, okay? Look at Brooklyn, and if you look at Brooklyn, you gotta think that it's Kings County, and then you got Queens, and you got King County, and then you got Upstate. You know, that's where they did all the murdering, like the Amityville, like all that Upstate, and then they got jails there, and they turned into jails, and they turned into projects and things like that, but that used to be castles and things like that from the people that used to be there. the Native American people that were from upstate and New York and Maine and all over these the lands, and they had a government. They were very intelligent. It was all kinds of technology. That's where they get Tataria from. Because I told you, as I told you, the Chinese people, I think they encountered sometime in 400 or something like that. They started to migrate, and then they encountered Mexico and stuff around the 300s to 400s. And then I believe something happened in 444, with the Chinese maniac or whatever in Mexico or something. It's something with the Chinese people where he became something, king, something. So this is the change. And even Jay-Z has a song with like 444 because it's a homage to that Chinese or Asian king that became something in 444. If you Google it, it's like an important thing in history for them. So, and this is also the time where you start to hear about these mythical stories, like with Tataria and things like that with the technology. So you gotta understand that they saw a lot of I could show you things where it was like things going on in the 1800s that had to already be there. So if you're encountering something and all this technology, you got trains, you got the trains and the railroads and all this stuff in the ground. We got all this stuff in like Brooklyn, all over. So it's like, where will we get the disconnect of it's like Jetsons meet the Flintstones, you know what I'm saying? And that's where the concept of both cartoons being out at the same time. We're in two different time zones. Before Christ is not BC, it's BCE. It's before Common Era. That's what BCE actually stands for. And AD is like Enotis Dios something, that's Spaniard for something. They was the only people keeping track of time. We're not on their same time zone, so we're not keeping the same time as them. The Maya, so, and that's what I'm saying, like with Pangea, you gotta think of Pan-American, Pan-African, Maya Pans, Japan, and things like that. You gotta connect these things. Those are the more ancient people. And I don't know. I think that's all I really got. I can't really go over everything, but you see where I'm kind of going with it. And this is like kind of wanted to show you guys this as well, because they say like in like 1 billion years, like only thing, like the whole galaxy, everything's going to be washed up, all the planets are going to be used up, like all the land, basically. That's what that means to me, that all the land is going to be dried up, and then we're not going to be able to restore any more land in the planet of the galaxy we live in, of the magnetic whatever phenomenon we have going on in this galaxy universe. So they say that only it will be white dwarfs. Then it will be, as you can see, it's like a green, white, blue, which is that South America color. Neutron star. Then it will be a brown dwarf star, which is brown red. And then it will be a black hole. So you see, this is kind of like they're saying this is the only thing that will be left. This is the only thing that will be most likely even thinking if you want to start another civilization, people, human life. It will start with these kind of mechanisms. So you see how they say we're black, but we kind of probably are black because it's like something that's nothing, but it's like something that you can't, it's nothing to them because it's something that you can't go past a threshold of. They cannot go past this black hole. But I believe some people could. Okay? And, it's up to you to be part of that dark carbonated, to be able to escape into that hole. And even they said that this brown dwarf has to converse to make like this white red, which makes me think of Japan. Anyway, and that's where you're getting like the brown red, and you're getting the Japan, and you're getting all that from. Okay, if you could put all that together. Yeah, start researching a lot of arch stuff, like archangels. This is why, like they say, the Russian or what they like, first white people was classified as Anglos only. And then they started to classify, not too long ago, Irish and all these other people as white. But the only white person at one point in America classified as white was an Anglo-Saxon, which means that they had some type of Anglo in them, and Saxon, whatever, from the north, whatever. Okay? So if you're thinking of Angelo, Los Angeles, angels, and this angelic, this Arctic angelic area is all pointing into that This is probably why certain people are left out of the details because they don't like the sun, they don't like the ink, they don't like nothing, you know. And you see how this little girl was all complaining, like, I don't treat this way you treat me. I don't care about the hair, the skin, and this and that. And it's like we're not saying nothing, but it's like, but at the same time, you gotta think, you know, and like I said, research this year, so you can see who a lot of these people probably mixed, okay? And I believe that they probably have the DNA, and that's how they're getting the LeBrons in the, because they're mixing this DNA with the blue and you know, they're mixing these South African with, and because these are the two original, as I believe, because it started in Americas. These are the two basic black groups, which is the South Americas and the Central America, and then you have all the other stuff that comes on from there. So just like with Michael Jackson, like as you can see, he has like an American look, you know. So there's no way you could go from this American native look to like this, you know, this is the Indian, more Indian. They traded him all the way out, and then it gets even more Asian and China. They like forget even, and you know, South American Indian. Whatever they like, we're gonna just take you over to China, Russia, you know. So, you know, you just gotta understand that this is like different people. Like, there's no way you could change your skin texture and everything from that to this. There's no way. It's an Arctic and it's a tropic. It's an Arctic and it's a tropic. It's two duality beginning, which I believe is the Neanderthals. And I'm gonna try to end it here. I'll try to continue on with the Neanderthals and my concepts of that from the Antarctica supercontinent, and the Japanese and all the Hawaiian, and because as you could think of our superstars, the basketball players is most likely the central area, and then you got the football players, which is more like Hawaii. But if you look up ancient, older Hawaii original, they look like the people, the American looking face, and then it gets Asian into it. So then they start to look more Hawaiian Asian. So, and that's where the military and all kinds of stuff is going on. And I think that's where they got everything. They done broke that part off and put it all the way by itself. This is like, I believe, a Hawaiian person. Just to give you a visual of what I mean by like American looking. This is like a queen in Hawaii from before they got all invaded. As you can see, they say Hawaii government was overthrown illegally, as they done the American people for some reason. They're tearing us up, baby. Look at some more original Hawaiian people, native people. Okay, then it will start to get Chinese. Then it will become Chinese. And mix, not Chinese, but you know, mix, because they found a way over here. I don't know how he got over there. So you gotta think like Russell Wilson. So, because he has the Wilson American name, but he's mixed, you know. So that's where he gets the tour. You get the Tiki Brothers, the Hut football. So they're getting these American these genes. I think they're getting these super glue genes that was here at one point. And they're getting their athletes from that, okay? And that's where they're getting the LeBrons, and they're mixing them too. They're not just they're getting that tall and that athletic, and they're putting it. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But you know, this is what I'm getting out of it. I believe that a lot of this stuff has come from the Arctic, and I can get more into it on a later date. Yeah, you gotta think of arch enemy. Like, who's the arch enemy? Like, it's like it keeps going back to arch everything. Archives. You're archiving something old, something. You know, you gotta think of all that. It all goes back to the ark. It all is going back to the ark, and we know where the ark is at. Don't look like a bomb, not an asteroid.
around the impact was have rippled like
They
water,
they they set off
built
a
up
nuke,
magnitude 10 earthquake.
but they're not gonna tell you that
The
because it wasn't
asteroid
supposed to be
itself
around
was
then.
instantly vaporized and sublimed into a core of superheated plasma over 10,000 degrees centigrade, or twice the surface temperature of the sun. Scorching winds of more than 1,000 kilometers an hour blasted out over the continent, and tsunamis of up to 200 meters high thundered into the coasts and washed over the land for distances of 100 kilometers. Wildfires burst into light around the world as burning debris began to rain down on the earth, and plumes of vaporized rock dust cloaked the planet in a dark shroud that blocked out the sun for years. In
The
parts of
Dark
the earth,
Ages.
pellets of glass began to rain from the sky. Much of the life on planet Earth would not survive this event.
Most, not all.
All large dinosaurs quickly fell into extinction.
This is how they got rid of dinosaurs and most giants.
As well as that enormous flying creature, Quetzalcoatlus. Over half of the plant species in North America were wiped out, and for years afterwards, only mushrooms and other fungi could grow, feeding on the decaying matter of the world's forests. Only small land animals, like snakes, lizards, and snails, survived. Many of them by burrowing into the ground.
Now, if people was burrowing, I laugh because it's like if people burrowed into the ground, wouldn't they survive as well? Um,
Away from the land,
I can't really go through all of this.
and left a mark on their religion, society, and art. But if Teotihuacan's people were the Greeks, then the Romans of this region were the Toltecs.
Hello.
After the collapse of Teotihuacan and the fall
You better get to understanding what I was trying to tell
the
ya.
Toltec Empire was the dominant force in Central America, ruling from the city of Tula. Just as Rome openly admired the culture of the Greeks, the Toltecs modeled themselves on the great fallen empire of Teotihuacan. They spoke a language called Nahuatl, which would quickly become the predominant language of the region. And it's clear they were outstanding craftsmen and artisans.
They were
Their artistic
stone
abilities
sculptors,
were so famed that in Nahuatl, the word
Stonehenge,
Toltec
stone
would
guys,
come to
real
be used to
bricklayers.
mean artist.
Yeah, so just to show you like with the water, and they had all those things. That's all them. Like they scope and do things like that, but we don't do the same thing. We have technology.
They came and bombed us.
They would have called themselves Mexica. And we actually have a wide variety of sources to draw from, many of them written by Mexica people who actually witnessed life before contact with
You
Europeans.
better get to your ancestors.
Oh God, I was talking a lot in there. They were trying to tell you about the Moshicas. These are the people that ran down on the Mexican people, the people in Tolca, which is like in the middle of Mexico, all the way in the back. So you see how far they were from like the United States and all that.
Many from the coast.
And this all this story with Cortez.
He was so persuasive, in fact, that every one of them offered to come with us. But if they had known the Mexican strength, I believe not one of them would have volunteered. Far from defeating Cortez, the governor of Cuba had actually delivered fresh reinforcements right to him. He was now more powerful than ever, and set his sights on returning to the city of Tenochtitlan. But without his knowledge, events in the city had taken a dark turn. The Cholula to pretend to be men of science and forecast the astonishing arrival of these bizarre foreigners. The priest Diego Duran later wrote down the words that people remember Moctezuma shouting at these magicians. It is your position then to be deceivers, tricksters, to pretend to be men of science and forecast that which will take place must have sat and pored over the images that his painters had brought back to him. The ships with their white sails, the men in their bizarre clothes, and perhaps most strangely, the creatures they had brought with them, whose backs they rode on. Creatures that looked like some kind of deer with no horns. Perhaps most worryingly, the foreigners had also given his ambassadors a demonstration of their weapons. And the stories they brought back seemed almost unbelievable, as the Florentine Codex recalls.
And when he heard what the messengers reported, he was greatly afraid and taken aback, and he was amazed at their food. It especially made him faint when he heard how the guns went off at the Spaniards' command, sounding like thunder, causing people actually to swoon, blocking the ears. And when it went off, something like a ball came out from inside, and fire went showering.
Anyway, as you can see, they encountered them with weapons.
Spanish away by force. Christopher Columbus.
Yeah, I wanted to show you. Look at his mason hand.
Christopher Columbus actually went.
So there's all the masons.
They go a Masonic hand gesture, just like they saw the Masonic
Christopher
hand gesture in
Columbus
from Mexico.
actually went to his grave.
So they were connected, even though they pretend they were not connected. They was connected, made by
An
Masonry.
ironic detail, considering this is the
They
achievement
started with
we
the
all
Aztecs.
remember him for.
But they'll tell you where they
His
did.
goal had been to reach.
Right. So someone had a Masonic hand gesture.
Bowed down beneath him. The second actor in this drama couldn't have been more different.
You see how he said the second actor? When the words
It's
collide?
now finally time to introduce the two great actors in the drama that is about to unfold.
The two great
We'll check
actors.
in with both of them in the year 1502.
1502. So I told you they came in around
The first
400s.
of these
And now the words are colliding in the 500s. And then after they conquer them in the 500, 1500s, that's when they move on from the 800, 1800s to the Central Americas. And that's where all things break loose. Within that 300 years, I believe it's the Dark Ages, where they say it was no sun or something like that. I don't know. And that's when they made this fake sun, the moon. I'm telling you, and they got all the technology, and they broke off all the Antarctic. I'm not gonna be. I just wanted to show you like the sacrifices that they used to make.
The word Aztec is not a word those people would have used about themselves.
So that's just wanted to show you.
The word Aztec is not a word those people would have used about themselves.
What is their word?
It's
They
a
weren't
later
native.
invention.
They came and bombed us.
They would have called themselves Mexican. And we actually have a wide variety of sources to draw from.
So they were not Aztec Indians at first. So you know, I just gotta let people know.
And unstoppably as the continents. And moving away from the land that valley. And left a mark on them. That was the work of the Spanish churchman Bernardo de Sahagún, who some have called the first anthropologist. Men also wrote down their histories. Don Fernando de Alba Ixtlilxochitl is one example. He was descended from the last king of the Aztec city of Texcoco, and although far removed from the events described, he had access to some Aztec books that had been kept a secret from the Europeans. And so these are the sources we have to rely on.
Look at the books.
Each one of them potentially flawed and fragmentary. As a result, trying to find out the truth of
These are
this
the books that they
could
kept.
seem like navigating on
It's like a skull bone.
reflection.
These are the books that they kept even from the Europeans. It's gotta have some type of real information in that, right? Look at this. Look at it. Okay.
Like leading us around.
Reflections of reflections of reflections.
But
This is what
combining these
we're
accounts
in.
with archaeological evidence
Mirage
does
and a
allow us
mirage
to
and a
piece
mirage.
together some of the major events of the Aztecs' rise to power.
Has something to do with their power, their rise to power. I don't know. These are the books that they
Our
kept,
story
that they said they got from their
begins
ancestors,
around the year
which will
13
only be
AD.
native people from them. It wouldn't be the South American, or it could have been the South American people. I'm not sure which ones they were from.
These were what the people here called Chichimecas. Means barbarian or savage, and it was usually applied to the groups of wandering nomads who often arrived in the valley.
Wandering nomads, midgets.
Nomads.
This group claimed to have come from a land which they had been forced to flee, but which no one else had ever heard of.
There
They
they are.
called this mysterious place Aztlan. They said they had been wandering in the deserts for many years, searching for a new place to call home.
Wow. Told y'all this is the
They
story.
called themselves the Mexica, but today we call them by a name derived
They
from
were
the
in the
mythical
California,
river
come from the
Aztlan.
California Chinese people.
These were the people who would one day be called the Aztecs. We can imagine how these weary desert travelers must have felt when they crested the hills and saw the wide green valley of Mexico stretch out before them.
Happy.
They would have seen the cities scattered out around the lake,
I
glittering
don't
like
know how it's doing a
jewels.
reflection
And
on
they
a
must have
reflection.
thought that surely, somewhere in this bountiful place, they could find a place to call home. But they were
Can't do
soon
it
to
where
be
we was at.
disappointed.
They kept moving.
The
What?
steady flow of
Getting a
people
reflection
migrating
like that.
south into the valley had increased the population density.
Yeah, people not.
Virtually all of the land in the valley had already been claimed by one city or another, and wherever they went, the city dwellers sent them away. Part of the reason for this
So they said wherever these wanderers went, the city dwellers sent them away.
People they
they
have.
didn't wear the embroidered
Corn,
clothes of the
so
city
these are the
dwellers,
Indians.
or have any of their sophisticated manners.
It's linking up with the
And their years of fighting
pilgrims to
survive
come
in the
jump on the
wilderness
Americans,
had made them tough.
natives.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know why. I'm mumbling.
A warlike deity
Thanksgiving,
known
acorn,
as Huitzilopochtli,
Indian mixed
whose
with.
name meant hummingbird of the south,
Anyway, you get the idea.
was dying in other people's wars.
Mm.
But they must have still yearned for a real place that they could call
You see how
home.
they started dying wars before they was blowing themselves up? For loyalty, to be able to join in.
What is this?
Yes, it is. It's
Fighting
just the
for other
loyalty.
people, for themselves. But there was only one last piece of uninhabited land left in the whole valley. It was a place so inhospitable that none of the other peoples even bothered to claim it.
See?
It was nothing but a marshy
You have to
strip
get the
of
swamps
land
and stuff.
lying some way out in the water off the western shore of Lake Texcoco.
Mm-hmm.
The Mexica built canoes and paddled out to this lonely stretch of land. There, they managed to build a number of small huts and a simple altar made of reeds.
See, they lived in huts and teepees and stuff like that. We had like brick houses and all kinds of like, and they had stones and things like that. But I'm just saying, like, it's clear who is who is the native Indians, who is the slaves and things like that. It's happened in the back of Americas, not in the top parts of the Americas. I also want to show you this part.
As well as gold and silver.
Just wanted to show you the trading that they did.
One colourful variety of food and other goods were brought from all over the valley and beyond. Cocoa and bright green quetzal feathers from the south, obsidian blades for everyday use, paper made from bark, as well as gold and silver from the north.
Gold and silver from the north.
Florentine Codex contains a list of all the foods eaten at just one Aztec feast, and it gives you a sense of the variety that they enjoyed.
Quien lleva el quicual que está
everything. That's Thanksgiving. That's when we trying to explain to you.
Textiles were also sold
When they came, they held court. They had Thanksgiving with the Pilgrims, them Spaniards. This ain't us. That ain't us. I'm just trying to explain something. That this happened all the way in the middle of the back of Mexico, the back of the fishtail part where the scales is at. Why are y'all saying this is our story? This ain't got nothing to do with the inner cities of United States. So y'all got some explaining to do. And I want my land back. And the thing is, like, even if I don't get the land, like, or whatever, we don't get our land, or we don't get to dictate what happens on the land and let other immigrants do it, which doesn't make any sense. But even if that is the case, if immigrants continue to have to tell people that's already in the land, that's in the rooted of the land, you can't even if they want to get us out of there, it's like if you're rooted into this land, where do you want us to go? And that's the thing. Like they can put you in jail. They can put us in jail. They can put us in the ground. But they can't take us off this land. You know what I'm saying? They can take everybody else off this land. If you do a crime or something like that, and you're probably from here or whatever, or from somewhere else, and you're here with a certificate, with like a reason to be here, they could just take that away and take you back. But they would not be able to do that to like me or someone. Like they would not be like, oh well, you did this big crime, and you know what? Go back to where? You know what I'm saying? So, But anyway, they just need to stop lying because all these stories happen, all these biblical stories stuff. This is all they tell you the whole biblical story.
over 80,000 people in the year 1487.
87.
Just one temple.
See, yeah, here it is. This
Though we have found
444 when they
some
came
traces
through
of
and
some
talked.
official
They did.
burial grounds around some Aztec temples. We
500
can't find any
things
evidence of the kinds of mass graves that this kind of slaughter would produce. And so we're left guessing as to how many people exactly may have died. And another factor complicates matters when comparing the Aztecs to other comparable societies from history. That's the fact that sacrifice victims were usually
Doing your nursery rhymes come from ring around the rosy ashes, all this stuff.
I don't know why I'm doing that talking.
Things. They gave all them stories to the movie.
Shut up. I don't know why I'm talking.
Our stuff. If you put all the stories in America from North, they're the moon stars and we are the sun. They have issues with that,
battlefield.
and I can explain that too.
To capture the enemy soldiers and bring them back to Tenochtitlan to be sacrificed. The incentives to capture rather than kill your opponents were huge. All lower class boys were trained as soldiers from an early age, but they would not be considered a true man until they had captured their first enemy for sacrifice.
You hear this? See you see, so when you're working for people, you signing contracts with people that believes in you don't become this until you actually catch your first sacrifice, and it's important to catch a sacrifice and grab it up. And they do this to like their friends, like they have their friends take their family members and they take it to the temple, and they have the whole. They say they sacrifice so many people on top of this temple that the whole temple stairs are filled with blood, which is where the red carpet concept come from. So you guys gotta understand who y'all dealing with. If you go through any of these celebrities, you're gonna see that they're most likely born and from the political area or the Mexican, like Waka Flocka's girlfriend Tammy. She's from Utah, Mexico. The father is from there, and then the mother's probably a native black person from America. Like they mixing, cause the child will be good. Like the kid will be kizzy. Like they don't have to go nowhere, and that's not even like. That's where like the name Kizzy comes from roots is stay put. Like so the father, the African guy, not saying Shock was what was the African? I don't remember. That's sad because I love roots. But anyway, the African father, you know what I'm talking about, the one that got his foot kunta. He would have had to go back to home or Libya or wherever because he's 100% from Africa. But the mother probably, they don't give her information, but obviously she was from the plantation. She was from there. You could tell she was talking, saying, she would stabilize the daughter Kizzy, and Kizzy in African is saying stay put. So, Kizzy is Kizzy. She good. Like, she don't have to go back because this kid would stabilize her. to be there. So now he can go on and be here, so that people probably feel like there's better opportunities for their family to continue on instead of being where he just been sold off, foot cut off. You see what I'm saying? What's happening to them or whatever. So the opportunity or whatever. So some people are coming over here with deals and on beautiful settings and rich and they have coming into like a place where they're coming from here and they're coming here as billionaires and this and this and that. It's fake and it's all the people that won these wars and made these deals and shook hands or whatever behind the scenes. So and then you got the people that are like coming. I would say illegally, but like they're sliding because if you're hearing all these people that have money and has things going here and when things are bad, when things are going back, they come over here. Why wouldn't you want to do the same? Like, why would you leave me here? Or if it's a flood or whatever. And it's like, oh, but we're going to shut down this and we're going to do this and y'all stay out there. But the important people from there will have their places here, have their their homes and this and that here, So that's why I do most of my videos is because I know where the celebrity and the entertainment world stems from. Like, and it's all literally this, and all the entertainment is literally them continuously mocking this situation or making fun of. Like, there's literally not anything else going on in the entertainment world or the music world. All the music is the same thing. Just like when they started separating, like, ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep you from you. Like, they found a way to come back anyway. Like, or any songs like that, like Wade in the Water, like these shallow waters, like where the waters come shallow or high, and things like that. Like, all these songs, any songs you could think of, or any kind of entertainment you think of, basketball, football, the skin of the basketball, the skin of the football, like, think of these things. Or, okay, so my thing's about to die, so I don't want it to die on me like last time. So that's it. That's all I really have. I just want to show you guys the connection to Antarctica really fast, and then I'm done. And I just want to show you this as well, because this is why I do this, because this is what they do to us. This is what they do to us. They say this is like a concept of like, they sex slaves. This is what they turn us into. This is why I always be like, oh, they're sex slaves and this and that, because this is what they signed on to. This is him eating some groceries, a white or old butt, like an old booty grocery. That's what it's representing. And I know y'all probably like, oh no, it's women. No, that's not what he probably ain't doing. No woman. But anyway. And I want you guys to get into, I'm going to do a Dick Gregory one too.
This is Raul, and this is the Cuban that worked for us.
The Cuban that worked for them.
So how you gonna get them in to court? Well, we know one person. They called it Gregory. They gave it to me. And Raul was also the guy that got killed.
And you see the twins. These twin people, you can tell they're like South American and the splicing, and I could go on and on about the splicing too, with duality with the African Asiatic, and I think they spliced the Corsicane. I didn't even get into the tropics of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. Oh, that's so long too. Just as where you get past the equator and things could get very Capricornish. And this is why I use the term, and I be like, oh, they don't got a good rep, and I try to beat the because this duality is both. They could be angelic and devilish, because it's a circle. So the tropic is at the end. It brings back the Arctic because it's the very hottest and the very coldest. And then you get into the middle, which is the central, which is the Tropic of Cancer. Because Cancer is balance, duality balance. So that's why the Central America is cancer, in the Cancer area is a dual balance for us, a good spot. And then you get down to areas where it's tropical Cap, where it's Tropic Capricorn, where things get real scorching hot and aggravated. So it's like, as you put the concept I'm trying to get to is like, if you're in New York or whatever in the summertime, they say, oh, it's the worst time. A lot of them always going to go down because it's hot. And it's only for 2 months, thank God. So now if you go to California or going towards more hot areas of California, Arizona and stuff, and they're like, oh, it's wild all the time out there. You go to the jungle or blah, blah, blah. Well, of course, it's hot all the time. I wouldn't want to live over there. Like, you wouldn't want that atmosphere over here. Like, I'll be like, oh, I can't live like this. You know? So you got to think of, like, if you get to scorching super duper hot with South American black, like, you know, and then that's where you get them happy. Now, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just telling you what I see. I'm a watcher. I can't help it. And then, you know, like I say, I showed you that you just gotta look up Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory is basically, my mother was like, oh, you know, you like Dick Gregory. And I'm like, I see what she means. Because Dick Gregory do all the conspiracies, right? Because it's been going on forever. Like, he tell you about the JF Kennedy scandals of the fake deaths and the fake this. They're all actors. They'll tell you about the Trump, okay? All acts. He's telling you about all of them, okay? You know, you think these people aren't actors? Right, look at this.
Anywhere. That's Giuliani, then mayor of New York, in drag.
You know, you're really beautiful.
The sketch was for a charity dinner, and it's pretty racy.
This may be the best of all.
Oh, you dirty boy, you. Oh.
18 years later, the bromance is still going strong. Who knows?
Yeah, like, come on, stop. This is all mockery. Like, this is mockery. They start, if you go to the useful chart on YouTube, they start the British Monarch off with 2 men. They don't even care. They like, it's like 1600, year 1600 or 1500, whatever. Like, they're like, oh, the starting of the mockery of the British starts off with Michael and John and like Brandon. Like, I'm like, 2 men. And there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just showing you that even from like very ancient times, like early times when they even started the monarch, they were saying that in the British, they making it known that they started with 2 men. Now, the whole line is not gay, but I'm just showing you what they're, and then, you know, the British is right directly with the Africans, you know, they're right all in there, you know. So, and then with the mask, all of them wear masks. It's all ritual. So this is what we're trying to explain to you. They take your identities, they take your spot. When you go, they come. You know, so you gotta understand. We're talking about the 1% that's just being diabolical. We're not talking about everybody, because the people that they have in their areas are being sacrificed and stuff, as well as the people that they want to get out their way to have access to whatever they feel they deserve. And it just doesn't work that way. It's supposed to be tropic cancer. It's supposed to be a balance. Without balance, it's going to be chaos. If you're going to have a seesaw and it's going to be like this, it's always going to be some type of issues with the atmosphere and this and that. Because if Mother Nature, this wound that we're in, because obviously like the volcanoes and the plates underneath, like this is some type of wound that's creating, birthing all types of specimens, right? Living organisms, and you know, if your body doesn't like something, for any foreign thing going on in your body, it tries to expel it. So you see all these floods and all these things that's going on is because it's an imbalance. Something's not right. So things aren't happening right. And it's not saying people are not supposed to be here. Maybe not as many people, because when you do philosophy, they have like a class where they say, you know, you're supposed to stay in your lane. And I'm not saying you can't date out your race, but maybe it's for a reason, because once you do start to intermix, it becomes even more circles. Now you got a purple and a red and blue circle. Now you're going to have a light blue, now that's where the 12 tribes come from. So you see what I'm saying? And then, of course, with the 13th, maybe because we didn't really I don't know, because we did intersex out, but it becomes a lot more, and then that's where the 12 tribes come from across there. Because if you insert the colors, You probably get a lot of mixture of colors of that amount when you mix all those colors together and keep putting them in those circles. You get those kind of sequences. So yeah. Anyway, I can go on and on and on because it's gonna keep coming. Everything keeps connecting. So I could go on and on and on and on. But you see what I'm saying about Trump and all of them, and then when you got these celebrities or these YouTubers saying like, "Oh, Trump," and this go, yeah, because they're part of the alliance. They are the house, the Dutch, the Japan American restaurant. They are. That's who they are. Quran. They are a part of it. They are, they have an alliance, and I don't know why I don't get that. So you can follow them because maybe you're related to them or you're a part of that. So follow those people and listen to their plans, because it's already written, and that's why they're able to give you the drop. All right, but they're just as bad as the people they swear they're going against because they're helping them. Yeah. So the 13th, like I don't want this stuff to go over your head. Who the 13th, and then think of like Osiris, their mythical Osiris, where their sister had that baby, them intersexing, and then that could make a mutated egg, which could cause the cancer, the curse of cancer, which is probably a reverse of maybe the curse of Capricorn. You see what I'm saying? Because Capricorn and Cancer is 6 months directly in the middle, mirroring. So this sounds like an incest situation where the sister probably chopped up the brother and left the third part, the phallus, out, and that's where you get our phalluses and all that, where it gets the harness, the electric, it harnesses this. So you got to understand that we're probably the link to that. The 13th, the phallus. You see what I'm saying? Completion, perfect specimen. Every time you see a black some situation where it's a scandal in the entertainment world, it's always 13 or 31. I think that Nipsey died on 31 because he's probably mixed with something. Like they be having the one drop rule. It's not about it being a slave. If you have a one drop of American blood, then you could be a Nobel monarch over there saying, hey, and I know y'all don't believe me. You don't have to. I'm going to try to explain it to you and prove it to you because there's plenty of information, but you have to pull it from a bunch of different places. It's not going to be all in one sitting. So if you think you're like listening to one book or one, it's good luck. It's like 4 Bible versions. And Genesis is the first. And you better understand what all that even means. And if you put all those scenarios in America, it'll fit better. And if you add in Antarctica and add a lot of things and add people at the time they say there was no people, and change the timelines, because sometimes the timeline is calculating space and not actual time. They'll say like, oh, the space between us is something 1,000 years apart because of the space they're calculating. They do a calculation like that. So I don't want y'all to be confused about when they say, oh, don't get scared of 230 something. And listen to the numbers. A lot of it is coded. So you got to understand, and they say 0 holds no value place. So they could say 200 million trillion years all they want. All those zeros can mean nothing to them, and they could be really talking about 2,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago. You have to understand those concepts. And then like you have the Southerner women, no disrespect to T.I.'s aunt. I just wanted to use her picture because she's a perfect example. Oh, I don't think it's T.I. And maybe, I don't know, I got her picture. Just look at the face. The features, it's just, you could tell it's mixed with Southern and like Dutch, or like they get like this witchy look, like a Jamaican, like a witchy, or German. It's like a witchy look. So the Samoanians, and you gotta see what I'm trying to say. Okay, so it's all a swirl. It's all a swirl. They're gonna have the native guy. They're gonna have the native preacher God from America. Then they're gonna have the Euro-Asiatic, and they're gonna have their children go on to be celebrities, and they pretend they got talent and they don't. It's just an alliance going on of them having the space of the real East states. I'm telling you, I'm here for some respect. So that's why I'm trying to put it all together. Trying to put it all together nicely. Look into Dick Gregory, and I'm going to do a video on Dick Gregory because, like I said, he's like the grandfather I don't have. Like, he'll get into all the conspiracy, blow them all up, saying you don't know the alliance, you don't see what it's about. And you know he's 100% giving us truth. But I told my mother, unfortunately, he's a puppet, and I'm going to tell you who he plays. And I really didn't want to do it because he's such like a inspiration of what he's doing. Because like that's exactly what I'm doing. But and he's supposed to be like the red brand, you know, the Southern man that you know he says everything that I'm trying to explain. But I'm gonna tell you who he plays and why he plays him. And the industry is well aware of both characters being played by this one person. And I'm going to explain that. And if you don't know Dick Gregory, look at some of his videos and you'll probably be able to tell who he is. But it's up to you to figure it out. You know?
But 30 minutes before Kennedy was shot, somebody changed the road. Instead of going the expressway, it turned on Elm Street 30 minutes before he was shot. The question, New York Times, Washington Post, the punks, the question is, how did Harvey Oswald know 6 weeks before he was shot to get a job there? Because the limousine was coming down Elm Street. Now, y'all should just cut the TV off, cut the radio off.
He said, now you need to just cut your TV or cut your radio off if you believe that bullshit. That they knew that Ross Orwell, and you already seen the fake killing of Ross Orwell. They already got YouTube videos of showing you how that psyops went down. You see how long they've been doing this for? Since they've been fighting over there in the merman area, the merman in the moors. They've been doing this forever. They made up mad stories. Don't listen to none of this. They stole, they murdered these. Listen, good luck, everybody. You know, they going full speed ahead. China's in charge. They always been in the battle because they the runt of the you know they couldn't get far and they couldn't. So you see what kind of Napoleon concept, the wandering nomads. You see what kind of concept they have. They don't have all odds against them. They don't. No one's letting them to come in their communities. No one was letting them. So they are ruling with an iron fist. And once they got all the information they really needed, it's been a wrap. So and then it's going to start all over. They're gonna shift us all the way into hell. It's going to go right back into heaven. It's a diamond. It's a Groundhog's Day. It's a trust me. And I can explain it more, but it's going to take forever. So I'm gonna have to continue it on another date. Here go another version of like the witchy look, you know, Sydney, Australia, something like that. No, Germany, right? Germany, like the witchy, you know. So yeah. I just wanted to. I swear, I'm just looking for this. I've been looking for this one video. This is what's been keeping me here. Just like the last time I was looking for that one video, and I found it eventually. But I'm not talking about that now. And then you got to think about the Archie too. Because of the arch, the purple extended the arch, the border Canadian to Russia, the red, the mixing of the bloods, the red here. Then it creates the Betty, the Veronicas, the Jugheads, the tour. You see what I'm saying? Then the Jugheads get a little bit Chinese. The Jugheads, if you pay attention, you know, you gotta the arch. You gotta get it. You gotta understand it. Okay. Then like a concept like this, what I was talking about with the KKK, with the Pan-Africans and the Pan-Americans all connected to KKK, King Kong, like they wore their sheets because black people participated. That joke was mockery, like black people, Klansmen, they even had a movie with the Black Klansmen, like put it together, but don't let them steer you in the wrong direction because they're going to give you a lot of truths and lies. This happened on Juneteenth. You see the guy with the all black, the red sweater, here goes the green shirt. Juneteenth, African flag color, King KKK. So we already know what this is, right? We already know what kind of street theater that was, right? You think it's a coincidence they wore the African flag color on Juneteenth? Okay, this is the kind of people we're dealing with. We're dealing with people that are working with each other, black and white, across working over here with people from over here. It's a system. Some people laid down and got down. Like I said, they couldn't get us in slavery and all that stuff. The slavery was in the West Indies and the Brazil. Those are the ones that saying yes, Matt. The ones that were going through the Negroes and that was what's going on there. They couldn't harass us. They couldn't get us, and it was over our dead bodies. And that's exactly how they did it. They didn't mind that request. They didn't mind it at all, and they shift right over. It's just like the Mexican. So they just clean right over you and put like some cement over your whole life, your whole houses and everything. And they built up, and the stuff that they wanted to keep that they couldn't cover, they kept. Okay, let me see one thing. Let me see, June 12th. I had the date here. I don't even know why I didn't follow the dates. Yeah, so just to be sure that everybody know, the Mexico with the mermaid, that's where they get the mers from. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Venezuela's the Amazon. I'll get to that one day, with men is from Mars and women are from Venus, and they connected through that. Because when the water came up, they were disconnected for a while with the Honduras and that line that connects them. It was water, and then when the water withdrew, they were able to start coming back over there. Even though they probably were coming back and forth with canoe or whatever, but at that point you couldn't walk, so any and everybody couldn't have easy access to the area. Okay, I just wanted to show you the Antarctica thing, and then I am letting you guys go, and hopefully this doesn't cut off before I can show you. Okay, this is good. This is what I was getting in the Neanderthal, because it's like the Nearctic, and then it's the Nearctic. This is the Americas, so it's the Neotropical and the Neoarctic, and the Neotropical, and these are the two, I believe, Neanderthals that's coming from the top Arctic and going down and traveling, and then of course when these regions were together and separating, they were able to. And then you got to bring that Cancer, Asian, maybe spliced, maybe incest mutated egg of the color being taken out of the African Asiatic person from the South Americas, making somewhat probably of a Chinese person or Asiatic, with the without the color, because the Asiatic comes from, it's already a native situation with the eyes. It's just without the color. That could be a splicing or an incest situation with a mutation of a. But anyway, I just wanted to show you that part with the Ethiopia, the Oriental, and then they also have the Palearctic and the Australian regions. Trying to get to it. Okay, here we go. This is it, and then I'm gone. Gonna end it off with the connection to Pangea. Okay, so what I want to do here is show you how they're showing you how things are hopping. I want to slow it all the way down. Can you see the hopping? Can you see the hopping? The hip hopping, the arches, the connection of how everyone is here. Okay? So Pangea is, oh God, I don't even think I had you seeing it. I'm sorry. So yeah, so we're going to see the arches, right? Do you see them like, you see that? See that sprouting? See that sprouting? So the sprouting from the top of Antarctica, where you see, if you can see, it's like literally like a line. This is no longer on the map no more. This is gone. This is no longer like this, no more. If you can literally see, this is the back of the North Arctic, where I believe everything started, with Antarctica, where they say is down here at this point. This is the Americas, this is Africa, this is Eurasia all the way up here, and this over here in this corner is the Antarctica, and the line that took you to Antarctica that is no longer there. Something has happened to this connection. This you follow the yellow brick road. Should follow, like, this is going somewhere. This is going somewhere. Okay?
like just to show you, let's more bring it back into perspective. And they showing you the hip hopping of the life coming from here, the Arctic up here, where this line. Let's make it big again. This line is going to a whole nother, you could see place that they're not even showing you. It's like they don't even want to show you it. You know? It's like a whole nother area of living that used to be the Arctic. Okay? So this is where they come from. And then the Mexican people, not the Mexican, but the original Toltec people said the native people at one point, they could not get back home because this bridge, this arc, this connection was no longer there. Which I believe it leads you to the Atlantis, would lead you to the super continent. As you can see, this is not something that I'm making up. It's obviously leading you somewhere, right? Like, where is that leading you to? Where that they said that's now no longer there. Look, where does it lead you to? Where is that? Where is that place? Now, that's where we're gonna have to start next time I get back. Because we're gonna go into Never Never Land, where you're never gonna get here. And I believe that's more towards the atmosphere of levitation, because the airplanes, they don't go too high, so they're able to levitate. Once you get out of an atmosphere, you're able to float. So we gotta understand that the levitations could start happening out there. It could, because this is, mind you, space is space. So going out that space, you probably could float, levitate, Mary Poppins. You saw the hopping. You see what I'm trying to say? And as you can see, it goes, as you can see, it's biography. So it goes from a super state, and then it kind of separates out, okay? And that's all within, you think, hundreds of thousands. No, this is within a couple thousands of years, man. This is within a couple thousands of years. And I'm going to have to leave it here, okay? Because I'm tired and it's late, and I'm surprised anybody's probably here. It's probably no one left but Spawn 20. I haven't seen you comment. Thanks for staying with me, man. Yeah. And whoever else is here that I didn't see comment, you don't have to comment necessarily, but I do appreciate the comments, especially comments that I always look for, like comments that are like on some like level of, look, I got these concepts, even if it's not my concept. As you can see, I'm not Mexican. I'm all in the Mexican history, and because I'm just looking for the directions, and sometimes they get, so any kind of information, if you're a Mexican, and you have oral information that I love, instead of this kind of information, because you got to decode it, but I'm really good at decoding. Where they said like the Mushu should come in, I understand that it's like, so anybody that has any kind of comments or any kind of oral history or something that they pertain, that they could correct or add onto, add it in the comments. I love comments like that. I always look for smart comments, smarter comments than me, just to give a little bit of background before I go, like my name and stuff like that. Like, it's like the Queen of Kings for, like, it started in like a South America and ended up in Egypt. Like the Egyptians know the name Candace. It's like the Queen of the Kings or whatever like that. And then my middle name Michelle. All of it is 777. My name's all is 777. Then it's Jack's son. And then my on my mother's side is Gaddis' son. So I'm a son on both sides, and I'm born in 85, which is the year of, they say, IQ people, the geniuses of 200. IQ high is 130. So if the people born in 85, they're saying supposed to be having IQ of 200, that means there's almost genius. And that's why they say this is going to be a time of change when our group become the leaders, because of that dynamic. And also, what else I can add in? My birthday is 116, and then if you add in all of that, it comes up to 13 and 31, back and forth. So it's kind of like a weird kind of connection to everything that I'm saying, of where I'm from and how all my stuff kind of adds in together. And then you can kind of see where my first name is more like South American, where I say I'm not from, but my mother got that name from an Indian woman, so that's why it is South American Egyptian
it's Egyptian, but it's really a South American. And my mother got it from an Indian woman. So she said that name was so pretty. And then, like, my father wanted all our letters to be 777, like, number, I don't know. So that equals 21. Obviously, it's a completion thing as well. 777 is like how long it took for God to make the world. So, that's, so the 7 number is completion. It's like it's all together. So, and then the 21 is because there's 3 cycles. I'm gonna end up getting cut off, so I gotta go. But I would like to see the comments, but I really don't know how to use this on here like that. But like, share, subscribe, guys. Be aware. Long as you know you're not on the you're not like on the side of greed, gluttony, and this and that. You have no worries. Your heart is light as a feather. You get through the black hole. So anyway, like, share, subscribe, share. Is this more important for you to share? I want any kind of information that I feel like is putting people in a positive direction more than all this negativity and all this scare tactics and all these things that's been going on. All these things are real scared, like all this alien and things like that. I believe that no matter what, the destiny is the destiny. So don't worry about anything. No matter, even if it's a lot of tragedy that comes ahead that they put upon us, you're gonna let your God fight for you. You don't take action. It's gonna wash. Anything that doesn't belong here is gonna expel itself. So you have no worries. You just pay attention. You be aware. You be a watcher, and you stay stay as good as you could in this kind of place that we all these places that try to tick you off. Try to push you to take you there. And we're gonna get to Australia. We're going to get to Australia and how it's shaped like a dog, or Finland like it's shaped like a rabbit, with the gangs in New York when it was the rabbits against the 5 Point. We're going to get to all that. The Sirius Candace Major, the Sirius star, Australia, Arctic, Antarctica. You got to understand the connections to that. And I just wanted to show you one more thing if I could find it. Oh, yes. Here we go. Just wanted to connect where I'm getting the angel concept from, and that we're like the, not saying the chosen one. I don't care what you want to say. Like, it doesn't even matter, like, because it's not like I'm saying black people. I'm just saying, like, here go the slaves. Here go the slaves, the house niggas, and the... Yeah, I want to show you this. This is how they did us. Look how they made him like a slave.
Caste was different, but the stereotypes were the worst way people had come to know him with a shady character.
Just wanted to show you one more thing, just to tie it into the stereo. Like they'll tell you indirectly. Oh God, I don't know why I can't find it. I'm gonna have to do this. This is gonna be a whole nother video, because it's like going through all these stereotypes when they start to videotape things. It's a whole nother ball game. Now where did it go? I can't believe I can't find it. No, I can't find it. That's weird. Oh God, I can't stand when I can't find something. No, I can't find it now. I don't know why. That's weird. Okay, here we go.
you're gonna see the difference. South American house slave, working in the house, working well. Sound like that lady that sing, Michelle Mollet. Look at her eyes. See who was the house. Now look at us. This is what they show.
Things were getting pretty tough during the 30s. Good thing for a lot of black actors was that
We're in heaven.
all of the green pastures,
Black people.
like they say, a cast of thousands. It gave a lot of people work, but it had all the old stereotype characters. It was clever and funny and all right.
Now they hear how we talk. Look. You heard a little boy say, I's an Indian. It was mockery. He ain't no Indian. And look at the preacher. Talking to the South American. They gambling. And look at the preacher, the Southern red brown man. He picks him up.